Welcome back to the only career-oriented show in NDTV Hop Life, guys. Yes, that's HOPStart, and this is Shuvro, your host. Today's episode is going to be really interesting because I'm going to be in a company called Decimal Technologies, and they are to do with Fintech. And I want to explore the opportunities, learn about the industry, and of course, for you guys, want to pick up tips and advices to how to start with this career itself. So let's not waste too much of time, and let's meet the co-founder Lalit Mehta, and he's going to guide us throughout the entire journey. Hi Lalit, welcome to HOPStart, and thanks for taking out some time from your busy schedule.
Thank you so much.
Let me quickly jump to my first question. What's Decimal Technologies all about?
So Decimal is a company which is right now focused on digital solutions for banking. So we are more like a fintech company which offers banks and financial institutions to acquire more customers at much lower cost with much better customer experience and ability to expand their market.
Right.
So the whole idea is that how do financial organizations expand their business without actually spending too much of money.
Right.
And
with the help of technology.
With the help of digital technologies,
yeah,
is what we do. That's what Decimal is all about.
Before digging a little more deeper, let's talk a little bit about the fintech itself as an industry and how it has been behaving over the last. And I presume Decimal Technology has been on existence for last 1 decade.
Right.
And you must have seen this evolution over the decade, like how it's been booming and where it's heading to. Why don't you give us some light on this?
So if you look at the way industry used to move, was always industries used to adopt technology.
Right.
So finance industry has been adopting technology for a long time. But overall it was kind of functional thought first and then technology.
Right.
So technology was always adopted to solve certain known ways of doing things.
Right.
It was not about discovering new ways of doing things where technology is a primary thought and the function is a secondary thought.
Right.
So the moment you look at fintech, the way it has evolved now is, so while companies like ours, they served financial organizations for many years.
Right.
People like us started realizing that why can't we do those functions, and we think we can do it more efficiently.
Right.
So that's how this entire fintech thing emerged.
Right.
The technology companies started doing the function that finance companies used to do.
Yeah.
That's how the fintech kind of has emerged.
Right.
And if you look at it, I would call it a pretty good success. The reason I say that is fintechs have been giving pretty good run-of-the-mill competition to all the financial institutions, and it's worldwide.
So it's working as a solution to the ever-evolving financial sector and easing out a lot of processes over the years, right?
So if you look at fintech industry, has really changed the way banks have started to think. So fintech is one making a change by itself in the market. So customers are getting to see new experiences, new products in the market, which are a lot more favorable to the market and the customers.
Right.
But the other best thing that's happening is that banks and regular conventional institutions have started to think in a very new and different way.
Yeah.
I think which is best for the industry and economy overall.
Right.
So fintechs, I won't call them disruptors as such, because financial industry and technology has been in existence for a long time.
Right.
It's just the orientation change which has happened now. Earlier, finance used to think technology, now technology is thinking finance.
Correct.
That's the orientation change which has happened.
Right.
Which is definitely good for the industry, and which will go a long way in kind of countries like India. It's going to make more people bankable and financially enabled.
Like, I mean, I'm sorry for interrupting in, but since we are talking about our country, in India, the population is, we are talking about like 1.3 billion. And in this population, a lot of people are yet to be kind of savvy to the current technology, right? And when we are talking about banking, finance, to reach to everyone, how do we look into this transition of kind of seeping in to people who are actually not aware of it right now?
So I think there is one thought that all of us carry, that people, those who are not tech savvy, are not really capable of using technology interfaces which give them those services like those of finance and all. I think that's not true. Look at the usage of something like Paytm.
Right.
Look at the usage of something like WhatsApp.
Right.
Look at the usage of RuPay card, which has kind of really kind of gone far ahead in the market and is going to beat maybe Visa Master within India sometime soon.
Yeah.
If you look at that, the whole adoption of technology by people, those who are not tech savvy, it's the responsibility of companies like ours.
Coming back to decimal technologies, now me as a layman, how does the company function? Like, I mean, do you have clients or do you work from your own? I mean, let's talk a little bit about the dynamics.
Sure. So we have had a journey. When we started, we were one of the first few companies in India which started doing digital solutions on mobile phones. So in 2009 when we started, mobility and smartphones were like, only a price position of
very premium or very niche.
Premium price position of people those were really upscale.
Yeah.
And the only smartphone that we used to have at that time was BlackBerry. So iPhone was not launched in India.
No.
Android was not there in India.
Now it's like almost like an ocean.
Exactly. So I think we have
we are also a part of it. Like
every one of us.
Yeah.
I remember my father, who never used a mobile phone, now uses smartphone very fluently. So it's kind of now it's more like omnipresent kind of a thing.
Correct.
The number of smartphones in the market would be more than the population. So if you look at that, smartphones have penetrated. So has technology, and companies like us evolved.
Yeah.
We started as a company which was doing solutions only thinking function and processes in mind, not really thinking user in mind at that time. So we used to kind of work for banking or other financial services organizations to help them digitize their processes. That's what we used to do.
Right.
And first process that was picked up was typically lead management system, because people, those who are out of their office and they are kind of dealing with the customers, they were the ones who were needing, who were feeling the need to have some technology in their hands to get the data, feed it back into the core systems of the bank, and then reuse it, rather than keeping a diary, which was a kind of cumbersome thing. That's where this entire thing started.
Right.
But then the way it evolved was more and more processes became part of the digital adoption, where not just lead management but entire onboarding of the customer.
Right.
And with that, what started happening was, because of technology and this thing being available, new products started coming out. So I'll give you an example of, let's say, Kotak 811. So Kotak Bank launched 811 a couple of years back. This was possible only and only because before Kotak 811, the entire onboarding process of the customer had been digitized. Since that had been digitized, there was a possibility of doing customer self-service onboarding. So since now you can think of, if a user, let's say I'm a banker, I come to your place and get you onboarded with the bank.
Correct.
So next thought is that why can't you do it yourself? So it's kind of an evolution of the thought which has been happening.
So you are kind of building, bridging up that, if I may say that, like, is it?
We are between the customer and, if you look at the financial services or the financial ecosystem. We are the one who get financial ecosystem to the customer. We take that financial ecosystem to the customer on both the sides, lending and deposits and savings. If you look at customers, with money you typically do only 2-3 things. You save the money, that's investments. You spend the money, which is expense. You buy capital goods, which you kind of you buy for your house and your office and all that stuff. Or you kind of give money as a gift or to somebody, which you kind of lending money to somebody. That's largely what you do.
Right.
So we pretty much be part of all of these 4 processes in which the money gets spent.
Because then I see a lot of rich opportunities for our young viewers into it. Like, it's just not one thing, it's not just 2 things, but it's a lot. And I'm going to carry on this chat for a little while, but we'll look around your office a little bit, maybe check out some other workspace and talk to you. And we'll even talk about the career aspect now that we sense. Guys, stay tuned. After a quick break, we're going to get back and again carry on the chat with him.
Sure.
Lalit, welcome after the break. Why am I
Thank you.
welcoming you back? Welcome the viewers after the break. Well, the chat before this was all about the industry and knowing about what decimal technology is in about and the dynamics. Let's get into the career part, since it's a career-oriented show
Yeah.
and a lot of young viewers trying to figure out their way into different field of work. So what we understood is fintech, technology, finance, everything is coming together now. So this is an emerging field.
Sure.
So what are the opportunities for kind of young guys to kind of think about this field?
So if you look at, so I'll kind of split the entire career options in two parts. One
Yeah.
is the organized sector and second is fragmented unorganized sector. With technology emerging, the beauty is that today it's very much possible to enable even the fragmented sector,
Yeah.
unorganized sector through technology. And I think that's the biggest opportunity that in India we have. Although we have missed that the first wave of development, where in America and Europe, the companies are much more organized.
Yeah.
In India, larger part of business still happens through unorganized sector.
Is that the reason why initially a lot of outflow of people, students, young people kind of going outside the country to kind of pursue a similar industry, or like something like that, or the wave is coming back
think
now?
That was not the reason, but the reason for both of these things, that sector being too fragmented
Yeah.
and not evolving,
Fair
like
enough.
all the sectors, and people and the exodus of people. The reason was the same, that the opportunities of growth or scale were not really too many. The government or the entire ecosystem, the context,
Yeah.
did not allow for people and small businesses to grow.
Correct.
It was not really, the opportunity was
Correct.
not there. So that's why businesses remained small and people moved out.
Right.
And people since moved out, the infusion of entire mental bandwidth in the unorganized sector also reduced, and
Yeah.
the organized sector also reduced.
Yeah.
So if you look at career opportunities, coming back to that, organized sector offers a lot of opportunities in the areas which did not exist earlier. Which means today if you look at new technology areas like artificial intelligence, data science,
Correct. Blockchain, machine learning. Yeah.
RPA,
Yeah.
all of that stuff, new UI UX, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
If you look at all of these, were pretty much non-existent earlier.
Right.
For people, those who are getting a formal education of an engineer or of a data scientist or of, let's say, UI UX designer or any kind of designer, organized sector has got a lot of opportunity, and there is huge dearth of people.
Right.
In all these sectors, I think market is only able to fill just about 50% of the requirement, even lesser actually. If you look at unorganized sector, where I think the potential is much larger than what we have in organized sector. Imagine, a guy who kind of serves us, who kind of delivers milk to your place.
Yeah.
Imagine a guy who's running a retail shop or
Yeah.
who's running a dry cleaning or the ironing shop.
Right.
Each guy needs to have a CRM system. Today his CRM is a diary, and the reason and the struggle that he's facing is his kids do not want to join his business, and the reason for that is that he has not been able to upscale or upgrade his business.
To kind of motivate the other generation to kind of take
Exactly.
it up.
But if you look at it, rather than running away from that business, so what US does?
Yeah.
If you look at the US history, entire US market, the businesses started small there too.
Yeah.
It's not that Walmart started as the first company,
Yeah.
first grocery shop. It
Yeah.
didn't happen that
There
way.
was Lowe, there was
Exactly.
JCPenney.
And Lowe's and JCPenney are much larger. But
Yeah,
if you look at each
Smaller
of these
ones.
guys started as one shop,
Yeah.
and then they've become big. And they've become big because they were able to infuse technology. They were able to always find the way to kind of get to next level.
Right.
So I think one message that I would want to give to our audience is that
Absolutely.
all these kind of businesses that our parents have been running away from those businesses is not going to be career growth for us. The career growth would be rather to actually take those businesses to next level. And today, with the help of technology, with the help of government ecosystem, it's very much possible.
Yeah, that's where I was actually coming to because of Digital India and startup initiatives. I'm sure we see like a very positive vibe happening, and there's a huge boom actually in our country to do with technology, to do with startups, people who have ideas. Because even in our show, we have met a lot of people from different startups, very successful, and they're doing really good. So, but one thing which I want to lighten up the conversation a little bit. So, fintech, technology, finance, at times sounds a little boring to
True,
the young guys. You know
True,
what I
true,
mean?
true.
And not for you for sure. It's a brilliant company there for a decade and doing amazing stuff. Now that's what, like, how to break this myth to these young guys that hey, as a photographer, as a painter, it's a brilliant option for you to start with, but this is also definitely a platform where people can actually make their living.
So if you look at, so think of a 22-year-old guy
Yeah.
who wants to really give value to his life, give meaning to his life, and also wants to make a career option.
Yeah.
And at the same time, he doesn't want to get into something which is too boring and away from his likes and dislikes.
Right.
So that's what each one of us wants to do in that age. Now imagine if a guy who lives in a small town is able to use his entire prowess and his kind of his talent, which might be in design area, or which might be in his area of something like somebody does Zumba.
Yeah.
So from
Any kind of a
from somebody who's
speciality,
any kind of talent, I'm saying.
Yeah.
Whether you're a painter, you're a photographer,
Correct.
You just want to you're just kind of
Pursue
good
the
with
skills.
you're good with thinking of kind of automating stuff.
Yeah.
But you're not a technology guy.
Yeah.
So whatever you are, imagine this health, this entire chain like Cult Fit,
Yeah.
Cure Fit.
Yeah.
Somebody who had known Zumba, who just knew that technology can enable me to scale up. You don't need to know technology. By the way, I'm not a technology guy. I'm not somebody who knows I'm not a computer engineer. So you don't
But
have
you
to
have your skills to add to that and
the whole
kind of
idea is
bridge
you
up.
need to have this thought that you need three things broadly to kind of make any business large.
Yeah.
So one is technology. Second is your ability to think of processes, and you need to know how to do it, which is
Yeah.
kind of mentorship from seniors, consulting you call it. You call it new ways of doing things. So
Right.
way of doing things is second one. And third one is access to the right finance,
Right.
resources in terms of finances.
Lalit, I hope I could have continued, but it was amazing chatting with you and understanding all the nitty-gritties, and I'm sure my viewers will get some insight out of this as well. But just before we wrap up, one question: education versus experience. I keep on asking this to
Yeah,
everyone. The new generation always thinks that, hey, we don't need much of education, maybe a little bit of training, internship, and building up experience might help, compared to, like, what's your say in this?
Brilliant. I think this is something which has been everybody's mind. That if you look at
Different perspectives,
different
basically,
perspectives,
yeah.
and the problem is that there are successes available from both the sides. There are people those who have been hugely successful because they have been educated in Harvard or someplace,
Yeah.
and there are people those who have not been educated at all, but they have been huge success.
Right.
But the message that I want to give from my experience at least is, when you're going through experience, the value of experience is that you develop your what we call as a gut feel, or what we call as the experience. Intuition. I think intuition is the right word,
Yeah.
or even better than gut feel. So you develop your intuition with experience.
Yeah.
But how far, let's say if two people have worked for 10 years, their intuition is not developed at the same level. That there are different levels. Now there are different levels because they're educated differently.
Right.
So one of the reasons for intuition development happening at different pace is your education.
Perfect. That was brilliant, and that's brilliant actually. Lalit, thank you so much
Thank
for being a part of HOPStart and giving
Okay.
all about the career in technology, and it was great to know about Decibel technology.
Great being here. Great being here. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.